2023. This is Howard Lim, and I'm from How Creative, the president for How Creative. And I'm going to be going through what is a process to stand out from your competition and get ahead of them. So let's begin. By the way, this presentation is just for you. It's not to be duplicated or shared with anybody else, distributed. It's strictly for your watching pleasure and supporting you and your invention and you and your business. So why am I here is to share my 35 years of positioning and designing multi-million to multi-billion-dollar brands. And the subject's going to be on how to rise far above your competition. So what's our purpose here at How Creative? Every company should have a purpose. Ours is to flip why 95% of companies fail, and we're about flipping that percentage to successful businesses, literally inverting that number. So let's start with some of the basic when it comes to branding. A brand is not your logo, product, or your business. So what is your brand? It's not what you say, it's what everyone else says. The question becomes, how are you going to influence what other people think about your brand? It ultimately resides in the heart and the mind of your customers. I say it's also the expectations match to the experience. You create an expectation of how your invention, how your product, how your business is going to perform. The question is, are you going to match that expectation through proper branding? So let's just say you had a chance to win $1 million in a racetrack, and you're getting two vehicles to drive, a 2023 Hyundai or a 2023 Ferrari. Well, the answer is pretty obvious. You would choose a Ferrari, but how many of you actually have driven one or either or both these vehicles? The likelihood of driving a 2023 model Hyundai van or definitely a Ferrari is probably far in between, but you already have an image in your mind which car would perform better on a racetrack. That's what it is to be a household name, is when your customers are sharing the same idea about your product. It's the same regardless if you have an invention, and it doesn't matter what category you're in or what industry you're in. How do you influence your customers to think about your product and service? So there's two ways to create a business brand: from the hip or by design. Here's the sequence how most companies do it. So you have an idea, whether it's a product, service, or information, you want to bring it out to the world. You give it to a graphic designer or a desktop publisher. A desktop publisher is someone that doesn't have any design background, had not gone to school for 4 years minimally to study graphic design. And graphic design is about how to communicate visually your ideas. What happens then is it's given to marketing, PR, and sales and advertising, social media. You will get customers, but you won't be able to attain the high percentage of customers that you ultimately want. Your brand will be perceived as price-driven, not quality-driven. Your value of your service will be concealed. Why? Because graphic design is very different than building a brand. A graphic designer is usually trained in one discipline, let's say packaging or product designing or website design. He or she does not know how to put all the pieces together to make one solid statement, one solid look and feel, one solid tone and voice to your brand. So everything gets fragmented. And actually what happens is you're placing a lid and you're preventing it from scaling and growing, okay? So this is how most companies build out their brand, which becomes generic or, from the standpoint, mediocre. Our SIM system is a one-of-a-kind system where we start off with a product or service or information, and if we figure out first, what is your positioning? You have to figure out what is your position of your product that stacks up against your competition? What makes it unique? Why would this matter to your customer? It's about creating and strategizing your value of your product or service or information and connecting it with your ideal customer. That's what's called positioning. Positioning, the way we do it, takes usually 3 days. It condenses what would take days to figure out, months, years, decades to figure out. A lot of companies never figure it out, but it's the most important part of how you're going to stand out from your competition is the positioning of your invention above all others. Then what you want to do is build an identity to reflect your positioning, whether it's best in class, whether you want to show up as world class or a leader in your industry. You have to have an identity, meaning that your website, the name of your product, the name of your company, your brand mark, which people call logo, your product, your packaging, all has to be feeling like it's coming from the same identity system, kind of like Apple products, like the Apple iPhone and iPad and MacBook Pro. They all have a certain look to them, which minimalist design, and it helps clarify that position of that company, and it helps identify also that product when it's out in their respective market space. So it's who are you? And the first part is what do you want to become? Who are you is the second part, which is your brand identity, and then the how. So the S stands for strategy, then implementation and management. The third part is how do you want to get known? You could think of it like an amplifier or a megaphone of building your identity. So there's a certain look and feel to it, and now you're actually spreading the word through marketing, PR, sales, and social media. In this case, you end up with a lot more customers because you end up with a lot more opportunities. So what happens is that when you do it the proper way, you're actually collapsing time to reach a business potential faster for greater wealth and opportunity, value and equity. And a business can now grow faster and separate itself from its competition. So first, positioning. Second, to build an identity to reflect that. And third now is to promote it through marketing PR. Branding here is very different than marketing. Marketing is about promotion. Brand identity is to create a certain look and feel of who you are. What is your biggest asset for growing your company is a world-class leading brand, okay? The business doesn't run a company, the brand experience does. What kind of experience are you giving your customers where they go, wow, like going to a restaurant and keep going back to that restaurant? Is it the actual service? Is it the food? Is it the ambiance? You have to look at it from the standpoint of most of your product. What is the experience of picking up the packaging and touching it and using it? Okay, this is what drives your business. The brand mark anchors the story behind the brand. People get confused between a brand mark and a logo. We create a new category. So, for example, Nike swoosh has a story behind it. So what brings it so much value when people see this brand mark and hear Nike, it actually has connotations to it in stories that are built around it. It's what builds what's called brand equity. So if you had a Nike swoosh, for example, and you want to sell me a Nike swoosh, and you go, hey, Howard, I'll sell you Nike and I'll give you all the inventory, I'll give you all the retail spaces, I'll give you all the manufacturing, but I'm going to give you the name or the swoosh. The company now is worth nothing because it's all those associations that you built into the mark over time. Most people have a logo. Let me explain this in more detail. Apple has made this issue, had come overcome this problem itself. They had a logo. A logo is not transferable through different medias. And they had that problem all the way past 2009. And finally, they figured out that they need to keep things very simple in black and white. Therefore, it's transferable on all media. Microsoft had this problem too. How is Microsoft, the word, supposed to translate in different languages? It'll look like a knockoff company and it fragment its value. That's why they carried through with their Windows, and now you see that more and more. Starbucks had the same problem too. It's what's called an emblem mark, and currently now they separate the mermaid from the word Starbucks. That way it had full flexibility. So when he sees the Starbucks mermaid, you don't even have to have the words anymore. And now it's identified about across the globe. Okay. So you have to think right now, do you have a logo or do you have a strong brand mark? So I'm going to go through some evidence-based case studies now of how it comes to creating an invention and bringing it to fruition, into reality. We create a process that's universal. It doesn't matter if you're B2B, B2C, or B2G, which B2G means business to government, an entrepreneur or your Fortune 500, or your startup or going through an exit strategy. Our process works regardless. It's universal. So with this company, Optic Watch, they're born out of an idea in a garage, no business, no brand, no market. They're confused where to begin because many people are telling them start here, start here, start here, but nobody had a cohesive, holistic approach from coming up with the concept and bringing it out to the market. So they had mixed message from vendors where to start, nobody to guard them and start from finish. So here's the product right here of what the prototype looked like. You put your glasses in here and it washes and dries it. We went through with this client, we went through a 3 days master blueprint to avoid costly redos and to accelerate market share. We want to separate themselves from the market, from the competition, and rise above it. The first is figuring out the business model, how you plan to make money. The brand strategy is what kind of brand do you want to resonate and connect with your customer. The third part is equally as important, is to really understand your customer's persona, understanding your customer's profile, how they shop, where they live, okay? How are they going to reach your product? They started with the name Shade Saver, and as we went through the strategy session and moved through execution, building the identity and starting on with the name, we realized they're going to leave 50% of their money on the table because Shade Saver suggested too much of a sunglass, not a whole unit that cleans and washes your glasses, whether you had sunglasses or if you had reading glasses. So we came up with the name Shade Saver, but you can see here we came up with hundreds of other names. Then we came up with the right brand mark that we could utilize on the product, on vehicle wraps, all on different medias, okay? So we came up with all these different concepts of Optic Wash, the name that we came up with. Here's the unit here that we helped design. We had another company do the engineering, another one do the full product designing. But we came up with all these different ways of actually making money off the product, from the product of the solution that you had to use their solution to videos for commercials besides showing you how to use the product. So we create all these ways of introducing this product to the market. Not only does it accept cash, but it also accept credit cards and debit cards as a full API system. So the first thing after we got done with designing this and making sure that we had 3 strong prototypes to show in various trade events, we want to take tours, and we call it the world's first eyewear cleaning kiosk. And we also created an app that was all used through quote unquote an iPhone and other mobile devices. We went to specific trade shows, and the first thing we wanted to do is get in hold of the biggest mall owners. So we did. We said we wanted to, with the goal of 3, we ended up with 5 of the biggest mall owners to introduce their product and have this in malls, shopping malls, have this at hotels, have this as a private licensing for other quote unquote eyewear, eyeglasses, stores, retail spaces. So we had a clear plan. Remember, it starts with strategy, figuring out where you want to go. We won all kinds of awards. Every place that we entered, we won awards. And then we started to go and make relationships, create relationships where we could actually have our products actually displayed and show how the product worked. We actually made deals with Oakley sunglasses and all these huge companies in retail spaces. Okay. We also were at the Venetian in Las Vegas. As a result, we did this all in 2.5 years. Usually something like this usually takes 10 to 20 years, but because we have what I call the SIM system to integrate things, we actually collapse time to get the product out there faster by avoiding multi-million-dollar mistakes and reaching our ideal customers in record-breaking time. So as a result, that was measurable. It was the first automated eyewear kiosk, multiple revenue streams, apps and online banking system, located at malls, car washes, hotels. We won multiple awards, all done in 2.5 years. Another case study, you might have a product you like optic wash, or you might have a service as well that you want to bring out to the market. This is a rebranding of TWC Pilates. It's a Pilates, but it was a whole new approach to approaching Pilates as a new service, okay? So they do core line functional training and workshops. The challenge was they couldn't differentiate because there's all these Pilates studios and yoga studios. They didn't clearly differentiate from their competition. You have to clearly differentiate. They had no strong world-class brand identity, and again, they lacked positioning. Again, went through positioning a 3-day strategy session to figure out the position, their business, their brand, their marketing, their customers, and how we're going to sell, okay? Very intense 3 days. We wanted to rebuild a more relevant business model for greater revenues and opportunities, define the brand DNA, such as their values, the philosophy, their brand promise, the personality. We want to create a culture, meaning like their staff would actually thrive, redefine roles and decision-making, and then position them so they're number one compared to their competition. Here's the position that we took for DWC Pilates. Expertise and unique process focused on personal plan just for them. So their journey was safe, fun, and quicker results than typical Pilates studios. Their core message, our unparalleled process, eliminates your overall function movement regardless of age, gender, and overall fitness. So they work with all kinds of ages and all kinds of people in different fitness class. They're inclusive, and that was our message, to be clear for everybody. This is what they used to look like, a logo. It was very difficult to read, for too long of a name, and so we had to shorten it, and we really had no positioning. So we came with literally hundreds and hundreds of different brand marks that were strong, powerful. We came with the color theory behind this marks, and then you can see the before and after. We shortened the name to WC Pilates because now they're actually searchable on the web, and they're closing a lot of quote unquote new customers. This is the old website, okay, very typical, where they lack positioning. And this is a new website, beautiful colors, total whole story. We were able to capture information, clearly define where they're located. Had the classes all online. It gave the ability to scale the company because a lot of it we took in a digital format, okay? There are a lot of YouTube videos as well. This is the interior now. This is some of their merchandising. And this is the signage here. Here's the result, a clearly defined position of the brand, a robust business model, making sure that they're making a lot more money now. They're a leader, and they have a brand culture that thrives, okay? I leave you with this, with those two examples. Does your brand reflect the best etched image in the mind and the hearts of your customers? Where we always start off with companies, we always do the live online one-on-one basis brand assessments. We do them online. I work with companies all over the globe. And what we do is we go through your website, okay? We go through your product, your idea, your invention, and I help you with 35 years of experience with working in Fortune 500 companies, is looking at your blind spots and realizing your full potential and bridge the gap from good to great. So what I do is I look at things you can correct immediately on your website to improve your opportunities. So here's a master plan. This company was out of China and they were not able to reach their sales goals, no value proposition, poor online customer experience, weak brand identity, and slow growth. So this is what they look like on the website, and they didn't know what was going on. Very typical. This brand had no value proposition and everything was shouting at you at once with no structure. What does this pan do? Nobody knew what this pan did. Okay. So I went through it one-on-one with me, 35 years experience, in showing them what they could change and improve their online visibility and improve their brand. So we went through what was missing, and what was really missing was finally we got here, cook a full meal in one pan for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Seems pretty obvious, but it wasn't obvious to them. All companies have blind spots. What I do is I remove those blind spots so now we can leverage on opportunities, which means increase profits and sales and revenue and better position the marketplace. We also put all the rewards here where they've been seen as well. And then I gave them an idea of how about we create called masterware, so you have master pans. And let's say now it could be like master cookware. So now we're building a whole brand to help them do that. And I even helped them with getting patents and trademarks, all done within an hour. We do these strategy sessions in an hour, or I should say, excuse me, online brand assessments in an hour. Strategy sessions are usually 3 days. But this is the first place to start with, is looking like kind of going to a doctor. You have to first figure out your blood panel, find out where you're off, and then make the corrections, okay, for getting yourself healthy. So as a result, they had a clear, concise message, easy website to navigate for the consumer, positive website feedback now, and they're getting a lot more radical increase in sales. And now they have a brand that's actually scalable, okay? So what does it cost you by not having a world-class business or leading brand? Your competition passes you by. That's what it costs you. How many of you receive value, okay, from this presentation? What I'm offering for iCAN is a limited offer. It's an online brand assessment. Again, I work with people all over the world, helping them with their service, their product, their information, and no matter where you're on your business cycle, whether you're starting up or you're going IPO or exit strategy, I go through an online brand assessment where you would send me your logo, your website, your product, and we'll review it. So you get you will receive instant thousands of dollars worth of brand feedback on your website, logo, packaging, business card, brochure, and even your business model, how to improve your business model. So what you want to do is you want to go to howcreative.com/assessment. There's an application form, and it's only for $500. It's usually $2,500, but today it's $500. And in the coupon, really important, in the coupon, how do you get it to 500? You write down HOW and you hit apply, and it should come up as $500. Okay. Once I receive the application, my assistant will send out a day and a time for us to spend an hour together. And what I need you to do, which she'll remind you, is to send your website, your logo, and package for me to review. A lot of times, what people do is they have their entire team on the phone call, so you all will learn about your blind spots. So I'm only giving this out for a limited time. Here's my information, Howard Lim at How Creative, my direct line, my office line, and my email as well. You can find me also at Howard A. Lim through social media. I want to thank you for your time, and this world is based on inventors like you. And I want to thank Moons for doing a fantastic job putting on these big, giant events for people like you to thrive. So thank you for your time and enjoy iCAN 2023.